Imagine owning land and discovering that someone else has legal rights to use it. Or what if you buy something, but the seller never actually had the right to sell it? Understanding ownership and property rights is crucial, not just for notaries, but for anyone dealing with real estate, contracts, or personal property. In this video, we'll break down the key concepts from Chapter 8 on things and ownership in the 2025 Fundamentals of Louisiana Notarial Law and Practice Book. Under Louisiana civil law, things refer to all property that can be owned, classified into different categories. First, we have common things. These belong to everyone, like air and the ocean. No one has exclusive ownership. Second is public things. These are owned by the government for public use, such as navigable waters and roads. Lastly are private things. These are owned by individuals or entities like homes and businesses. Why does this matter? Some things can never be privately owned, and knowing the difference prevents legal mistakes when handling property transfers. When we talk about property in Louisiana, everything falls into one of two big categories, immovables and movables. But there's another layer to this, whether the thing is corporeal or incorporeal. Let's break it down. Immovables, or real property, include land, buildings, and anything permanently attached. Once something becomes a permanent part of the land, it's legally considered immovable. Movables, or personal property, are everything else: cars, furniture, jewelry, money, and even livestock. Unlike immovables, movables can be easily transferred from one person to another. But here's where it gets interesting. You might think a house is a house and a car is a car, but Louisiana law divides things even further into corporeal and incorporeal. Corporeal things. These are things you can see, touch, and physically use. A house? That's corporeal. A car? Also corporeal. Even your phone is corporeal because you can hold it in your hand. Then we have incorporeal things. These exist legally but can't be physically touched. Think about rights, inheritances, leases, and servitudes. You can't hold a lease agreement in the same way you hold a set of keys, but it still has value and legal standing. For example, consider the scenario in which you inherit land from your grandparents. The land itself is a corporeal immovable, but the right of inheritance that gives you ownership is an incorporeal immovable. Understanding these categories is key when handling sales, donations, successions, or property transfers. For example, selling a movable, like a car, doesn't require an authentic act. Selling an immovable, like land, must follow specific legal formalities. Transferring an incorporeal right, like a usufruct, can impact future ownership and how property is used. As a notary, knowing these differences helps ensure documents are properly prepared and legally enforceable. If you get it wrong, you could create a legal mess that lands in court. Then we have the concepts of ownership and possession, which aren't the same thing in Louisiana law. Ownership is the right to use, enjoy, and dispose of a thing in the most absolute manner allowed by law, while possession is more about control, physically holding or using something even if you don't legally own it. For example, while a renter possesses an apartment, he doesn't own it, the landlord still owns that apartment. Louisiana law also recognizes good faith possession, which applies when someone possesses something believing they are the rightful owner. If a dispute arises, good faith possessors may have certain legal protections. Ownership isn't always permanent. It can be transferred in several ways. One method of transferring ownership is by succession. When an owner passes away, their property transfers to heirs either by testate succession, following a valid will, or intestate succession, when there's no will and the law dictates who inherits. Another method for transferring ownership is by sale. This involves a transaction between a buyer and seller where ownership rights transfer in exchange for payment, typically requiring an authentic act or written agreement. Another method is by donation. This is when a person transfers ownership of a thing to another as a gratuitous gift, with certain formalities needing to be met for donations to be legally valid. Lastly is by operation of law. Some situations automatically result in a change of ownership, such as when a business dissolves or property is acquired through acquisitive prescription. Each transfer method has different legal requirements, and notarial acts often play a crucial role in making them official. But what happens when multiple people own something together? That's called ownership in indivision. If you and your siblings inherit land, you each own a share. That means you all have a right to use the whole thing, but decisions about selling or making major changes usually require agreement from all owners. Co-owners also have the right to partition, meaning they can request the division of the property or its sale, with proceeds split among the owners. Ownership disputes often arise in succession cases, where heirs must decide how to manage jointly owned property. This doesn't summarize all of the legalities, but it does give more insight into some fundamentals you should know regarding things and ownership. Property law in Louisiana is unique, and understanding this concept is essential for notaries, real estate professionals, and property owners alike. Whether it's a simple sale or a complex usufruct arrangement, knowing these classifications ensures legal compliance. If you're preparing for the Louisiana Notary exam, hit that like button, subscribe, and stay tuned for more chapter breakdowns. Follow for more Louisiana Notary resources in the links below. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.